Oh, brother. My twin brother, Didymus. You might know him as Thomas. We have the same names. What can I say? Our parents weren't very creative, I guess. We was born twins. They named us both Didymus. That's Greek for twin. Yeah, I know. You can say that's Greek to me. Bad enough that we look the same. Having to go through life with the same name is cruel and unusual punishment. My older brother, Lucius, he had great fun with it. He would always introduce us to his friends. He'd say, "Hey, I'm Lucius, and this is my brother Didymus, and my other brother Didymus." They came out second, so I always got to be the other brother Didymus. I was actually glad when Didymus number 1 decided that he wanted to be called Thomas. Thomas, there's a nice ring to it. But I wasn't about to be Thomas number 2. At least I can have a name all to myself now. He changed his name when he started following this man, Jesus. I must admit, I had some pretty serious doubts when he took off after that guy. He'd come home and tell us some pretty incredible, some pretty unbelievable stories. Stories about people being healed, turning water into wine, feeding thousands of people from a little boy's lunch. We were worried about him. You see, Thomas and I, we're alike in more ways than I cared to admit. But one thing that we prided ourselves in is that we were realists. I mean, you tell us some incredible story about miracles, magic, or the supernatural. We say, put a sandal in it. I ain't buying it. So one day he says to me to come with him. He says, there's this guy, Lazarus, who's dead, and that Jesus is going to do something about it. I said, yeah, what? Raise him from the dead? Well, I go with him. This Lazarus, he was pretty dead. I mean, he got close and you could smell it. All the people were crying, really upset. I figured either this guy is dead or these people are some very good actors. I mean, he was in his tomb already. You don't fake that kind of thing. Well, then Jesus does this thing. He says, Lazarus, come out. You know what? He came out. Here he comes, dressed in his death clothes, thinking to high heaven, but very much alive. Well, that was it for me. I said, Jesus, I believe. Right there on the spot. Lazarus was not the only one who came alive that day. I started hanging around with Thomas more. I took every chance I could to see this Jesus. Then things got pretty ugly. You know this part, right? How they arrested Jesus and killed him. Oh, it was a bad time. I mean, a really bad time. Thomas came home, all full of doubts and scared, and me too. He hung out with us for a few days. Well, after things calmed down a bit, Thomas ventures out again. He meets up with some of his disciple friends, and they start telling him how they was in this house with all the doors and windows locked. And suddenly, Jesus appears.